Hey there, Alan Matthews here from Classical Guitar Shed, and in this video we're going to talk about ornaments and how to use them more effectively in your guitar playing. So let's get started. There are a few rules to remember when dealing with ornaments. The first of which, number one, is to keep it in rhythm, which means that if you have this beat going on and then you have a note with an ornament over it, whatever that ornament is, then you want to make sure that this underlying beat stays absolutely rock steady and that the ornament does not interfere with the rhythm in any way. So then the way to do this is to practice just your notes first without any ornament, beginning with, and then put the ornament in later. And that is a good way to maintain that you're actually keeping this main beat here. Because an ornament, we don't want it is an ornament, just like on a Christmas tree or something like that. We don't want it so big that it actually topples the tree or rips the branches off or anything like that. It has to stay in time. So that's number one. Number two is that it needs to speak to the psychological character of the piece. And so what does that mean, psychological character? It means that an ornament is there to give insight. One of the purposes is to give insight into the character. So if there was actually an actor playing the part, or if it was an opera, if there was a part, then the ornaments actually give insight into the character, which means that it needs to fit within the context of the music. It needs to sound in place. So basically, what do? You just listen like crazy and make sure that it actually works within it and that it doesn't detract from the piece but actually adds something to the character of the piece and just makes it more beautiful or more emphatic, and so you actually have a greater connection to the line because of the ornament. If that's not happening, then you need to consider just playing without the ornament or really working on making it so that it does work. Number three, and I'm guilty of not really heeding this one very much, and that's kind of obeying the style of the period that it's from. And the basic rule on these is mid-Beethoven, so like 1800 and before, it falls on the beat and is approached from above. So I'm kind of running out of space here. So it falls on the beat and is approached from above. On the beat, approached from above, which is the next scale tone above it in pitch. That's pre-1800, basically mid-Beethoven and before. So any kind of Baroque music or Renaissance music, things like that. The after that, it typically falls before the beat in phrases to the beat, and this is an interesting one. I like this the best personally. That's just me. But there are some, in dealing with that one, we kind of get into our number fours here, and that is that, let's grab a staff. Let's say that we have this note leading to this note, and there is an ornament here, or some grace notes or something like that, that actually lead to it. And so what it looks like on the page is that the ornament falls with this note, that this is where the ornament is, when in actuality it's really part of this note. And then so we would actually kind of phrase it like that, as a triplet, something like that, so that the number of beats, so that it's actually structured in, and then this beat is still on its own. And so these, then it leads to this beat. As opposed to being connected with this, we want to think of it as coming from this beat, that the ornament is now in effect a way to get from this note to this note, not as addressing of this note, is actually kind of a mechanism to get into this note. And so when we're doing that, I'm just going to rewrite this here. Let's say that this is the one that we've got. That then our ornament looks something like this. And we'll just do it that way. So now, instead of a quarter note and an ornamented quarter note, we're actually going to back this up, structure it, so actually put the ornament itself in time here. So we actually make this perfectly in time. So it's not just a boom. It just doesn't fly in there. It is actually a structured thing. So we actually make 16th note triplets out of this, or however many notes there are. You actually make them into a structured rhythm. A structured rhythm, and insert them right here. And then the next rule of this is to make this first one a long short, which means that we decrescendo to this note. And so this actually comes out of this. So it's dun da da dum, dun da da dum, dun da da dum. So we actually decrescendo to this one, and then these three, or these two rather, move forward to that one. And this is the long short. If you don't know about the long short, I'll put a link to it right here, another video on that. Great. So that's the main thing. The other thing that we also in guitar deal with a lot as an ornament. Oh, actually, before I go on, if you want to really look at some really nice written out, check out some Busoni transcriptions. He wrote out a lot of ornaments and was really tasteful and really worked out some really great. He did a lot of Bach, did a lot of things. Busoni is an incredible individual and musician. And if you want to really look at some good ornament writing, get some of his piano transcriptions and kind of look at the way he handles things. So lastly is the rolled chord. We oftentimes see this. Let's just put a big old F major 7 right here, and then we'll see something like this, right? And we have this a lot in guitar. We just have a rolled chord of some sort. And so what's very typical is to put this on the beat and just go, we're coming along, dun, 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 and then go dun, 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 brrrlom. And it's just kind of thrown in there. And a lot of guitarists don't actually think about rolled chords as ornaments, but really they are. So depending on what note you actually want to roll to, especially if there is a melody note. So the question is this right here, is that a melody note? Is it a line? So have we actually been making a line that actually then completes with this rolled chord? And if not, or could we, sorry, and if not, then could we actually make it that way so that it, you know, adds more interest to the rolled chord and kind of tucks it in there. So then instead of actually just going all at one time, what if we did this right here? What if we're moving along and just like the other one, so this is our chord, dun, 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 and instead of what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to put these 3 notes as a triplet and then this note on the beat. So instead of that being it, it would look like this. That would be its own note, and then we would have triplet. And then these would be, well, again, because there's 3 of them, because there's 4 notes that we're dealing with, then it would be a triplet. And then that would turn that into a dotted 16th, and you put it on the last 16th, or the 8th if you'd like to spread it out a little bit, and you could just get rid of that dot right there and just put it right on the 8th, and that would be fine too. However you'd like to do it, or do it as a 16th. But then you actually structure your rolled chord in there, and it becomes an ornament, still the same way, long short to there. Again, long short video if you need to see it. And so that's just a different way of handling rolled chords, and it can really make them more beautiful. One more note on rolled chords is that because of logistics, or because of however you'd like to do it, just because we have this and have a squiggly arrow going up doesn't mean that you necessarily have to play this in order of 1, 2, 3, 4. What you can do instead, if you need to, on this, if it kind of could phrase better this way, is you could go something like this. You could actually switch this order up a little bit if you would like to, so that then you put the bass note on a different, you kind of do this in a different order. And so on really slow rolled chords, sometimes I'll do that. Pianists do this a lot. If they have a rolled chord, that'll kind of, it'll be in a different thing, so that then the bass note drops in at a different time. So then you can actually start the note dun 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 dun, something like that. You can mess with that a little bit and just see what becomes the most beautiful. This is really effective if you have some kind of weird fingering that you have to get to, like having this note hold and then have to get to this note in a different spot or something like that. Then it might be easier to actually connect this note to that note and then put the bass note in, and then the other notes, something like that. So you can kind of just play with the order that you actually play your rolled chords, but I do think that structuring them and knowing exactly how they fall, dun 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 dun, or whatever it is a great way to actually add some more structure and more beauty to your playing. Great. So if you would like to, you're more than welcome to subscribe to this station right here. You can watch these other videos on these types of things, and most importantly, thank you so much for watching. Take care.